On a stifling Tuesday in Oak Ridge Estates, trouble came knocking in the form of Margaret Hensley, the freshly crowned queen of the Homeowners Association. She had no idea that by confronting me, she was about to stir up something far more powerful than any thundercloud hanging overhead. It all started with the Titan, a 48 kilowatts liquid-cooled standby generator, a fortress of steel and firepower that rested like a coiled beast on its concrete pedestal at the edge of my yard. This wasn't just a machine. It was a testament. Every month, I gave it the respect others reserved for vintage cars or family heirlooms. I checked its oil, topped its coolant, ran its diagnostics. When it came to life, its low rumble resonated in my bones like a call to arms. While neighbors trimmed hedges and boasted about turf height, I revered diesel. And no, my modest 3-bedroom ranch didn't demand that kind of wattage. But the Titan wasn't for me. It was for Willow Grove, the nursing home that bordered my property. A red brick facility with aging bones and fragile lives within. My grandfather, tough, thin, a retired electrician, spent his last stretch there. I'll never forget visiting him during that blackout, watching sweat bead down his face while their flimsy generator failed to keep his motorized bed going. He called it a disgrace. When he passed, I made sure no one else would suffer like that again. I struck a deal with their maintenance lead, Tom, a soft-spoken, retired cybersecurity guy who cashed out of tech with a lucky app and a golden handshake. I fronted the hardware, arranged installation, and laid down an armored line from my place to theirs. They took care of fuel and upkeep. I watched over the Titan like a parent over a sleeping child. For 4 years, it roared through every outage, delivering light, safety, and comfort to the folks who needed it most. But peace is a fragile thing in suburbia. James. The voice scraped across the air like sandpaper. I didn't have to turn around to know who it was. Margaret stood on the grass line, eyes locked on the generator like it had insulted her mother. A leather-bound binder clutched in her arms, her short blonde bob unmoved by the breeze, and those khaki pants, unmistakably HOA regulation, completed the picture of suburban tyranny. I took a breath and faced her. Margaret, you doing all right? She didn't smile. That thing, she sniffed, gesturing to the Titan as though it were leaking oil and profanity. It's an eyesore. Only if you make a habit of staring into my backyard, I replied, snapping the panel closed. You spying on me, Margaret? I bet the binder has something to say about that. She stiffened. Margaret lived for bylaws and passive aggression. Her position was unpaid, but she carried herself like the mayor of a tiny dictatorship. I've reviewed the covenants, she began, tapping the leather like it was a holy text. That unit is an unauthorized external installation. Funny, I said, leaning casually on the Titan. It's been here longer than your presidency. I remember when you were just the neighbor who measured everyone's hedges with a ruler. Grandfathering is a lazy excuse, she snapped. Section D, subsection 3, paragraph 1, every structural change, including power systems, must be approved by the architectural committee. With schematics. I raised a brow. Since when does this neighborhood have a problem with generators? I proposed the amendment myself. It passed unanimously. How many people were at the meeting? I was the only one. That one almost made me laugh. She was ridiculous, but she wasn't stupid. This was calculated. That generator powers Willow Grove, I said. Oxygen, dialysis, ventilators. You think this is just some backyard project? She didn't even glance at the nursing home behind me, its windows reflecting the sinking sun. Her expression didn't change. Rules are rules, she said. You'll receive a formal notice. Remove it within 30 days. She turned, binder held high like a scepter, and marched off. 3 days later, Tom called me. Storm's gonna be bad, Jim, he said, voice raspy but steady. They're saying power outages are inevitable. The Titan's topped off and humming. I assured him, pacing my living room. But we've got another problem, Margaret. Tom chuckled. She tried to fine us last year. Said our autumn sign was seasonally aggressive. Lisa cussed her out. Don't sweat it. This time's different, I muttered. peering across the street. Through Margaret's window, I saw her adjusting blinds that didn't need adjusting. She was coiled and ready. The forecast got worse. 80 miles per hour winds, torrential downpour, full grid collapse expected. While neighbors raided grocery stores, I raided my garage. I printed a sign in thick, bold letters, laminated it, and zip-tied it to the Titan's main switch. Critical medical equipment. Do not touch. Powers Willow Grove Nursing Home. Tampering is a felony. Might have been a stretch, but I wasn't above bending the truth if it kept Margaret's hands off the Titan. Saturday night, the sky went pale green. Wind howled. Rain turned sideways. I made popcorn, picked an old action movie, and waited. At 10:02 p.m., the house flickered and fell into silence. I counted. 1, 2, 3, 4. The generator growled to life. Warm light flooded my living room from the backup lamp. Outside, every home was a black shape swallowed by rain except Willow Grove. Its lights cut through the storm like a beacon. I smiled. Then I saw her. Orange raincoat. Flashlight beam stabbing through the dark like a warning shot. She crossed the street with mechanical purpose, right toward the Titan. I stood, popcorn forgotten. No, I muttered. She wouldn't. No one's that crazy. She stopped at the generator. Light landed on the red switch. She stared. Read the sign. Then stomped her boot down, smearing it into the mud. I grabbed my jacket and sprinted out. Wind tearing at my clothes. Rain slicing down my neck. The Titan thundered beside her, and she raised her hands toward the disconnect switch. Margaret, I yelled. What are you doing? She didn't flinch. Wet hair plastered to her cheeks, face twisted with bureaucratic wrath. It's after 10, she screamed over the wind. Noise ordinance. It's in violation. It's a blackout, I shouted, slipping on the soaked grass. You're cutting power to a nursing home. Convenient excuse, she shrieked, and yanked. The switch wouldn't budge. You don't get to break the rules, Margaret snapped. Before I could stop her, she planted her feet and yanked with a grunt. A heavy clunk echoed. The generator, my Titan, went silent. Then came the darkness. Willow Grove, the nursing home across the street, blinked out. No lights, no hum, nothing. Margaret's flashlight beam cut across the night, resting first on the switch, then on my stunned face. There, she said smugly. Section G, subsection 7. Peace and quiet. My phone lit up. It was Tom, the administrator at Willow Grove. Jim, what the hell just happened? His voice was panicked. She killed the power, I said. Everything's down. Oxygen machines are on backup. 15 minutes. Max. 3 residents need them. I turned to Margaret, my voice low and tight. You don't even understand what you've done. I tried the switch, yanked it, pounded it, it wouldn't move. I secured it, she said, raising her light again. A thick padlock was clamped over the control box. For compliance. You locked a nursing home's power source? I'm not going to be threatened, she snapped. You're being hysterical. My hands were shaking as I called 911. My neighbor just shut off power to Willow Grove Nursing Home, I told the dispatcher. She padlocked my generator. The oxygen machines are running on batteries. They're failing. Is this a dispute? It's reckless endangerment. Please, send help. Margaret crossed her arms, confident. The police will side with me. I'm just enforcing community standards. 5 minutes later, 2 patrol cars rolled up. Officers Reynolds and Carter stepped out. Reynolds looked like this wasn't his first HOA disaster. Someone explain this, he said, already annoyed. Margaret launched into her speech. His generator violates the noise ordinance. I acted within my rights as HOA president. He's harassing me. Reynolds turned to me. That generator powers the nursing home. She shut it down and locked it. They have residents on oxygen. He glanced over at the dark windows. You shut off power to a nursing home because of noise? He asked. It's a violation, she insisted, holding up her precious binder like it was a badge. Carter, scribbling, asked her, Do you have a legal warrant to tamper with his property? I have the HOA bylaws. Reynolds looked like he aged 10 years on the spot. Can you verify the generator powers the home? Call Tom or Lisa. They'll confirm. Carter jogged off. We waited in the rain, tense and silent. He returned pale. They're using flashlights inside. 3 residents' oxygen batteries are critical. The director says it's an emergency. Reynolds' face hardened. Ma'am, give us the key. It's my property, she said defiantly. You can't force me. Reynolds sighed. She's technically right. We can't break it without a warrant. Red tape was choking us. People were in danger. Then I remembered someone who hated red tape even more than me. Mike. I dialed fast. Mike, it's Jim. You remember the Oakage generator job? HOA president padlocked it. It's cutting power to Willow Grove. She what? Mike growled. I'm on my way. Emergency rate. Plus a stupidity fee. 15 minutes later, Mike arrived in his battered van. A barrel-chested ex-Marine with a permanent scowl. He stepped into the chaos. Rain dripping off his buzz cut. He saw Margaret, the useless cops, the padlock. This the problem? Yeah. He turned to Reynolds. You can't cut it? Not without a warrant, Reynolds said. Mike's eyes narrowed. You're paying me to restore this equipment, right? He asked. Yes, whatever it takes. And this padlock's blocking my work? Yes. Then it's a safety obstruction. I'm not cutting her lock. I'm clearing my access. He pulled out bolt cutters the size of my leg. Margaret screeched. That lock cost $60. The officers turned their backs, suddenly very focused on their notebooks. Snip. The lock clattered into the mud. Mike tossed the halves at her feet. Bill me, he said, flipping the switch. The Titan roared back to life. Willow Grove lit up like a Christmas tree. Carter clapped. Reynolds cracked a smile. Relief flooded me. Until Lisa, the director of Willow Grove, marched up, soaked and furious. You, she said, glaring at Margaret. Ellis, 94 years old, went into respiratory failure when his oxygen failed. My nurses revived him, but he's in the ER. Because of you. The mood shifted. This wasn't about bylaws anymore. This was real. Dangerous. Human. Reynolds stepped forward. Ma'am, you're under arrest. Felony reckless endangerment. Margaret's confidence collapsed. Arrest? No. I have bylaws. Carter cuffed her while she shrieked about lawsuits. Her binder fell into the mud. They loaded her into the cruiser. Mike handed me an invoice, $600, including a $150 HOA idiocy fee. I laughed. Worth every penny. By morning, the neighborhood was buzzing. Tom texted, Ellis is stable. Lisa's furious. Willow Grove's lawyers are coming for her. You're in the clear. Neighbors called to cheer. Margaret had fined one of them once for mailbox stickers. A letter from the nursing home's parent company arrived, promising to cover all expenses and asking for a statement for their lawsuit against Margaret. The local news ran the story. HOA dispute shuts down nursing home, causes hospitalization. There was even a grainy photo of the Titan. A week later, the HOA meeting broke attendance records. 60 people showed up. 2 nervous board members announced Margaret's permanent removal. The room cheered. More stories spilled out. Fines for lawn ornaments, porch lights, bird feeders. I sat quietly with a cup of bad coffee as the legend grew. A month later, I was checking the generator when Tom showed up, grinning. He brought a basket, coffee, pastries, a gift card. Inside was a framed HOA proclamation. The Titan is exempt from all bylaws permanently. Unanimous vote. They were terrified of another headline. Tom chuckled. Margaret took a plea. 3 years probation. Huge fine. Had to sell the house to settle. Moved to a town with no HOA. I looked at the Titan. Its steady hum was the sweetest sound. I just wanted to honor my grandfather. Instead, I dethroned a petty tyrant and reminded a whole neighborhood what really matters.